Hi everyone, welcome to the overview video for Unit 4, Web Literacy. Here are the things that we're going to be focusing on. Hopefully by the end of the unit you'll be able to answer these questions. What is web literacy? Why is web literacy important? Who teaches web literacy and how? Through that, I'm also hoping that you'll be able to come up with a definition of what web literacy is and be familiar with a model, which is going to be the Quest model that you'll be learning about, and describe how it can be applied into teaching. And then you're going to be able to describe the elements of web literacy map and apply these to a content lesson, and that will be coming up in the future, that last part. We may not totally get to in this unit, but we're getting ready for that in the future unit. So here's our little roadmap that we're following. So our Unit 2 about information literacy, remember that's the print and digital text that we use to really to help us understand information and communicate it to others. Digital literacy involves the digital skills that we need to be able to find, understand, and use information. And web literacy is an even more narrow topic because now we're specifically looking at information that's found on a website. And how do we get to that information, and how do we decide if it's useful and truthful? So hopefully you're seeing how these three ideas are connected, and we're sifting down to a more refined way of accessing information as we move from each of these topics. So in this unit, you're going to be reading 2 chapters from the book Reading the Web, and chapter 6 focuses on understanding. That's the title of the chapter, but it really deals with understanding search results. And several of you have mentioned that you wish you knew more about searching on the internet and about how to use search engines, especially Google, because that's the one we all use the most, how to use that more effectively. This is the unit where you're going to learn about that. Chapter 7 deals with evaluating, and that is 2 aspects of evaluating. Now we're talking about evaluating both search results and websites, and we're looking to see if the information that we find in both of those places is useful to our search. Is it going to help us answer a question? And when it comes to a website, is that information truthful? Is it accurate? Is it current? Is it information that's worth using to answer our question? So those are the 2 areas that you'll be reading about. You'll also be viewing, a video, but you'll be also viewing several websites. So this looks like a long list of things here, and my intention isn't that you are totally familiar with all of these viewing resources, but that you take a look at all of them, because there's so much here, and way more than what I would expect you to be completely familiar with, but it's all really good stuff. So definitely, what is the internet and the web literacy map? And then the other Google resources, getting the search education, how to use Google resources, and Safe Search Kids, which is a Google search engine for kids. Those are all intended for you to find what you want to know and learn about it. So if you want to know more about searching Google, there are lots of 3-4 minute tutorials that you're going to come across here that will help you pick up those skills and possibly be resources you can use with students. Definitely take a look at Kathy Schrock's website. The link that I'm giving you takes you to a page where she focuses on the topic of critical evaluation, and it's basically a collection of links to lots of other resources. So again, you're not expected to look at all of those things, but find some things that are useful for you, because there's some great stuff there. And then the bogus websites page, another great tool, and you're welcome to check out a few of those bogus websites, but it isn't expected that you've looked at all of them. Just kind of get the general idea of what a bogus website is and how it might be useful in your teaching. Again, we'll have a discussion board going, actually 2 topics this time. Kathy Schrock, who is an educator who's made it her mission to share resources online with teachers, she uses the term critical evaluation. And teaching children to think critically is quite a challenge. And I want us to talk about what are some ways that we can get children to think at that deep level of critical analysis, even if they're in kindergarten. How do we lay the foundation for that? So that as they grow older and they're exposed to more and more resources online, they can make informed decisions about what resources are really going to be worthwhile for them. And then the second discussion board is based on an article. It's a pretty short article. There's a link to it. And it's from the Atlantic Monthly magazine. So it's not a research article. Is Google making us stupid? And you'll see the date. This article is a few years old, but I think it's a good question, and I'm hoping it gets us thinking about we have this Google that is all present online, and how is it influencing us? In what ways? And is that positive or maybe not so positive? I'm anxious to see what you think in the discussion. Then this time, as you summarize what you've learned from reading those 2 chapters and viewing the video and the links that I've posted, I'd like you this time to share your summary in a top 5 list. So I want to see a statement like, I learned that something, and that's one of your items on your top 5 list, and then a little explanation. 2, 3, 4 sentences explaining that thing that you learned, that idea. And I want you to do that 5 times. I want you to post those in your small group on the discussion board and then respond to other people. I did mix up the groups a bit this time, so you might see your name in a different place. And remember, as always, you're not limited to those groups. That's just to kind of help manage all those comments. If you see the discussion board that we have open to everybody, one of them has gotten up to, I think, 117 comments, which just gets really difficult and unwielding. So that's why I put you in groups, but please don't feel limited, and please feel like you don't necessarily have to respond to each person, but just get your ideas out there and sharing them with each other. Okay, the good news about this unit 4 is that you just have 3 assignments that are due instead of the last few weeks you've had 4 assignments. So it's a little bit less in that respect, but it'll be made up for in another respect, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So your third assignment is a search engine comparison activity that you could do with students. So in chapter 6 and in one of the links that I have on our module, you're going to start looking at some search engines that are designed for kids, or I'll call them alternative search engines because they're not all designed for kids, but they can be used by kids. Alternatives to Google and Bing. And so that's what this activity does, is ask you to design an activity that can be used with children using some of these alternative search engines. And you'll see a full description of that in the module. And then last but not least, the reason why there is a little bit smaller number of assignments this time is that hopefully you're going to be working on your inquiry project. So you've designed your question and you'll be submitting your resources in part 2. And so now I wanted to give you a longer span of time to get to part 3 because that's really the meat of the project. And so that's not due till April 8th, which is way out there past spring break. But I wanted to cut back a little bit on the assignments this unit so that you have some time to be working on that project, because I know that will take your time. So seems like there's plenty to do, and we just keep moving right along in this class. It's going at a fast pace, I think, but I'm so pleased with how hard people are working and submitting assignments on time and communicating with me if you need to use a homework pass. And this is just an awesome group. I'm really fortunate to have you all in this class for my first time to teach it, and you're really helping things go smoothly. So thank you very much, and we'll be in touch soon.